Hello and welcome to week 4. Wow, time is really flying by. It's amazing. And we're in February already. I don't know how that happened, but more learning and more review as you all prepare to sit for a national certification exam. Very important addition to your resume. Having those credentials on your resume will get you hired faster and at a higher pay rate. What could be bad about that? Nothing. All right, so this week we're just going to review coding, okay? And I cannot stress this enough. And I think that you're seeing this as you're reviewing your quiz results and identifying where you went wrong on the questions you got wrong, right? Is you got to pay attention to detail. This is so incredibly important. This is why we use medical terminology instead of regular language, because medical terminology says so much more in so little, and that's what coding does. We could take a whole entire sentence or two describing what's wrong with the patient and express that in one ICD-10 CM code. So the details matter. Now, as you're going through the case studies, you need to make sure that you are focused on each and every word. And the best trick I have, and you're allowed to bring this into your test, even if it's online, okay, is your finger, okay? If you point to each word as you are reading it, it will force the words individually through your optic nerve into your brain, and your brain can crunch that. Otherwise, your brain is trying to take in everything that's in your visual field into your optic nerve, into your brain all at one time. And that's why sometimes when you look at a case study, it can be so overwhelming because your brain is seeing 300 words all at the same time. So this, your finger, is what can focus your brain. And it does not lose time. Okay, you may say, well, if I'm going to do that, point to each word as I read it. It doesn't take more time. But it's using your time more efficiently. So if any of you are having issues with the timing, the time that you have to take the test, and remember, national certification exams are all timed, okay? What you want to do is use your time more efficiently and effectively. And I promise you, this will do it, okay? And you can use whichever finger you want. I don't recommend using your toes because that could just be uncomfortable. And then, anyway, all right. So as you are preparing for the exam, to take the exam in a couple of months, you need to pay attention to new items. That's going to be anything, any codes added for 2022. Now, maybe not specifically each individual code that's been added or deleted. You do need to pay attention, again, in reading your coding manual, in addition to the questions and the case studies, but also pay attention to new items that are included that may have been, and what I mean by that are new sections, like COVID-19 coding. Codes have been added for a long list of COVID-19 issues. So you have exposure to COVID-19 but asymptomatic. You have confirmed diagnosis, and of course you have treatments, both outpatient and inpatient. And so you just want to make sure that you take a look at the guidelines to ensure that you are ready. Now, again, I want to remind you, the guidelines are always in your coding manual. And your coding manual, you need to have that in order to answer any of the questions correctly. All right. So make sure you tab it. Make sure you continue to think about and familiarize yourself with any new guidelines, as well as reviewing the existing guidelines. Okay. And that's going to tell you what sequence you need to report codes, when to report this instead of that, or that instead of this. That's your guide to coding accurately and correctly. And they are so incredibly important, and they're right there at your fingertips, all 10 of your fingertips. Okay. All right. So just to review, ICD-10-CM, clinical modification. These are diagnosis codes. They explain why the patient required care from a healthcare professional, i.e. medical necessity. There always has to be at least one diagnosis code and one procedure code for every encounter, regardless of where it is, okay? So remember, diagnosis codes explain why the procedure, service, or treatment was medically necessary. Remember, talking to a patient about getting a flu shot or a COVID vaccine or whatever, that's a reason why to go to the doctor. I may have said this before, but you may adore your doctor. You may think he's the greatest thing, but still nobody is going to call or go online, make an appointment. I almost said reservation. Make an appointment, go in the waiting room, wait in the waiting room, go into the exam room, wait in the exam room, and then the doctor comes in and says, "Oh, it's so nice to see you. What can I do for you?" Go, "Nothing, I just missed you. I wanted to see you." Nobody does that. And even if they did, nobody's paying for it. Okay. So you have to have a valid reason to see a medical professional. And remember, ICD-10-CM codes. Minimum of 3 characters, always beginning with a letter of the alphabet, followed by numbers and or letters. And this is a code with a dot between the 3rd and the 4th character. Okay. Totally ingrain in yourself to search and look in that coding manual to make sure you're not missing any characters. Sometimes there's a box above that says use this for the 7th character. Okay. Sometimes it's on the page before. You got to watch the little symbols in your code book to remind you. And again, this comes in very handy when you are reading the details of the code book, the coding manual. Okay. All right. Also on this test, because it's an inpatient test, ICD-10-PCS, procedure coding system. These are procedure codes that are used only to report what procedure, services, and treatments were provided by a hospital to an inpatient. Only a patient that has been admitted into a hospital. Not the emergency room, because the emergency room is technically an outpatient facility. Right? ICD-10-PCS codes are always alphanumeric and always have 7 characters, not 6 ever, not 8 ever, always 7 characters. Do not submit a PCS code with less than 7 characters. And PCS has that nice table where you just have to go all the way across. It's okay. Okay. You just have to be methodical as to how you accomplish this. Okay. And then just to throw this in, because why not, CPT. Now, CPT procedure codes are used under two circumstances. Number one, to report what a physician did for or to a patient in any location, outpatient, inpatient, in the back of a cab, on the side of the street, in a clinic, in an office, in a hospital. Doesn't matter. This is to report for the physician. And you will use CPT codes to report what an outpatient facility provided to an outpatient. So, for example, if you're coding for the emergency department, the ED, which is considered an outpatient facility, CPT codes. Now, CPT codes also are always 5 numbers, no letters, 5 numbers. Okay? All right. So the only one that has a variable number of characters in the code are diagnosis codes, ICD-10-CM. You got to pay attention carefully to everything. Really, remember, accuracy. And this is going to help you. All right. This week, read chapters 5 and 6 in your coding review book. In your certification review book. Chapter 5, Introduction to ICD-10-CM Coding. This better be a reunion, not an introduction. Remember, diagnosis codes explain why. And Chapter 6, ICD-10-PCS, procedure codes explain what. Inpatient only. All right. And you should be using the 2022 review book because it is 2022, and that's when you're going to be taking the exam. So you want to make sure that you are studying for the correct exam, the actual exam that you are going to take. It's very helpful. Things change every year. Okay, then you have your quiz. I recommend no review guide. Okay, yes, of course you have to use your coding manual. That's absolute. Okay, but this is a really important practice for you to identify your knowledge and skill gaps. Okay. All right, very, very important. And then the analysis, seriously, this is so important to your improving, you're getting better, not only for the certification exam, but also for getting on the job. Okay. That's, real life is really where it matters. Okay. Really delve into it. Please do not tell me, oh, the correct answer is correct. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. We know that. Why was your answer incorrect? What was the piece that you missed to bring you to the correct answer? This is all about you and your ability to do this and build this expertise. Okay? Seriously, I already passed the test. Okay. Weekly additional stuff. I love adding stuff into the content. You have an evaluation and management guide that is CPT, physicians services, and also complying with medical record documentation and requirements, which will be very helpful for you as you are reviewing case studies, physician documentation, because remember, if it's not documented, it didn't happen. If it didn't happen, you cannot code it. That's it. Okay. All right. I am here for you. I am here for you 7 days a week. So email me. I can answer your questions back via email. We can set an appointment to speak on the phone. We can set an appointment to Skype. Well, nobody really Skypes anymore. We can Zoom. We can FaceTime. We can WhatsApp, whatever makes you comfortable. Okay. I'm here to support you and your success. Have a great day.